Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is October the 13th, 2025, 11 a.m. Central European Time, probably a lot later or earlier, wherever you are around the world. And what a weekend we have had. Let me just check my window is closed. What a weekend we've had. I'm not going to sit here and say I told you so, because that is not what we are all about. But I'm going to take you through the fallout today. we have a busy show. We, as well as many tweets from Sailor, Dan Crypto Trades, and me. I've got quite a few tweets going out. We're going to look at lots of charts today. We're also going to look at the Bitcoin target, where I think we're going to go October, November. We're going to look at what Peter Schiff's had to say. We're going to look at hype. We're going to look at influencers. Now, this is the bit that might take some time, okay? I'm going to talk about influencers. We'll talk about that a bit more when we get to it. We're going to talk about buybacks and why I think that's some of the new alpha. We're going to talk about the next black swan, okay? There is a black swan on the horizon, and we're going to talk about that. There's a busy show today, and I'm pretty certain that I'm not going to get through it. I don't think we're going to do this in an hour. There's too much to talk about. And most importantly, I want to get stuff covered that I really want to cover with you, because what's happened in the last 72 hours has been ridiculous. Okay, yes, it's a young industry. Yes, it's a young market. Yes, we have lots of people trying to tell you that the bull run is finished. The bull run's never going to happen again. We've got people telling you that Bitcoin's going to $35,000 or it's going to $500,000. And if you're new to crypto, you don't understand anything that's going on. And I am on your side. Somebody called me the voice of reason over the weekend, and I like that. But I want to clarify. It's the voice of my reason, okay? And I say this quite a lot. I have an opinion, but it's my opinion. And I don't expect everybody who watches this to agree with my opinion. The same way I probably won't agree with every opinion that you've got, but that's okay. I said this in a video that I made over the weekend. It's okay to have different opinions. But when those opinions become gospel and you start to listen to those opinions and you follow them blindly and you get wrecked because you're solely focused on one person's opinions, there's nobody to blame but you. And I'm not defending influencers at any point in this, or Willy Woo, or Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm saying you have your own reason and your own opinion. And the longer you're in crypto, the more of an opinion you will get. Okay? If you're brand new, absorb as much information from as many people as possible, and then work out what your risk profile is, who you think gives you the best advice based on your risk profile. There's no point in following Murad if you don't like meme coins. There's no point following Ben Cowan if you don't like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So form an opinion. That's what you have to do, okay? Schools don't teach that enough these days. Before we get into things, really excited about Wednesday night. Wolfies, okay? It's a new NFT project. We have a $100 prize pool, and that $100 is going to be split between Binance and the people watching in another place, okay? And we're going to pick some user IDs out of Binance, and at the end of the stream, we're going to give them some tokens, and we're going to send them some tokens, and those that win in somewhere else, it's normal. You're going to get a Crypto Warehouse Wheel of Fortune spin every so many questions, and then I'm going to have the top 3 prizes. That's Wednesday. Haven't written the questions yet. Very excited about that. Good morning to Tariq, Hidden, Manjeet is here, Danny is here. How are you? I hope you're all incredibly well. Now then, I suppose we should get into it. Now, we were doing a stream called the Tariff Special on Saturday. For those of you who don't know, I don't normally stream on a Saturday, but, and I'll say this again, there are certain influencers who will disappear in times of crisis, and there are certain people, me included, who will help you through those moments, okay? And you know, in times like this weekend, you know who the people are that will be there for you when it hits the fan. Now, my stress level this weekend has been 0. I've been completely calm. Now, when we had the FTX collapse, when we had the collapse of Luna, Celsius collapse, I was a lot more tense when FTX crashed because it drove Solana through the floor, and I was a lot more tense. I have not had a bad night's sleep in the last week, good sleep all week, feel great, feel full of energy. If you've had sleepless nights, if your heart rate's gone up, then that goes with time. This too shall pass. That goes with time. Now, I want to show you where we are, okay? We have had a bounce. The Oracle streamed on Saturday night when we were at 111,000. He streamed on Binance Square, but it didn't work. Going to have to fix that. He said we were going to go towards about 116, 117,000. Not on Saturday, but over the course of the few days. I said on Saturday that we would start to go up towards the end of Sunday, which we've done. Now, he's got his charts, I've got my reasons. But we are nowhere near the depths of despair that we were in 48 hours ago. We've recovered slightly. Now, maybe we've not recovered back to where we were on Thursday, but these things take time. If it's a V-shaped recovery, it will take days, okay? But Bitcoin is coming in over 115,000. Look at Ethereum, over $4,000, $4,174. That's a really solid bounce. And I was telling you on Saturday, look for the coins that bounce the hardest, because they're the coins people are buying into. Okay, we are going to see some coins that we can pick up on the cheap. We did that on Saturday, and we picked World Liberty Finance, we picked Aster, we picked Pump, we picked another one, didn't we? Was it Sui? I think we picked Sui as well. I don't know. They're in the Telegram group. Whichever ones we picked. Now, XRP back at 263, decent price for it to be. Solana back just under $200. That's a good bounce. I don't talk about Doge. We don't do Doge on here. Cardano is making its way back from 65, 66 cents, hopefully back towards 80 cents. Hyperliquid, been telling you, under $44 is a good price for Hype. We came down to, I think, $36. Maybe we came lower during the flash crash, but $36 was a good price. Chainlink under $20 is a steal. I know a lot of you out there bought on Saturday. And one of the things I was talking to the Oracle about, just making sure they're on the right screen. One of the things I was talking to the Oracle about on Sunday was how proud I am of every one of you guys. Okay? Everybody that watches me on a daily or a weekly basis. Because you saw the opportunity. Now, you might think that is common knowledge. You know, look for the coins to pick up on the cheap. 90% of the market panic sold, and 10% of the market bought, and you were part of that. I was getting messages about you buying Solana, people were buying Ethereum, people were buying Chainlink, people were buying Hype, people were buying Litecoin. That's exactly what we've been talking about on here. When we dip the way we've dipped, it's an opportunity to buy in at lower prices. Now, we might have 4, 6, 8 weeks left of the bull run. We might have a bull run that runs to next year, but you've done it at the right time. Now, if we have one of these crashes towards the end of November, I think my tone will change, because that could very well be the end. Okay? And between now and then, and between now and the end of October, I'm expecting a move up. But it's not going to go up forever. It never will. But you did the right thing buying those coins at those prices. And you're going to see loads of people saying the bull run's finished. Anyone telling you to buy spot now is just helping you throw money after throwing good money after bad. That was when Bitcoin was 110,000. It's 115,000. That's when Hyperliquid is at $34. It's at $42. We've bounced. Maybe we don't bounce to where I expect us to go, but we're going to go up. Lots of other coins, but these are the coins that you should be interested in. These are the coins that have bounced the highest and the best. Synthetics is an incredible bounce. Don't really pay it enough attention. It's synthetic stocks or synthetic assets. Potenza's done incredibly well, 34%. Aster is up there, it's 25% up. World Liberty Finance is up 22%. Pendle, another good project, is up 17%. Aerodrome under $1 is a really good project. Bonk is up, Sui is up. Sui, I think, was the one that surprised me the most because that took an absolute hammering. But I do expect it back 320, 330, something like that. Morpho has done well. There's lots of gainers, as you'd expect. Now, this is the interesting thing. What is still losing? Okay, not a lot is still losing. MYX is still losing. Now, again, this coin came out of nowhere, racked up to whatever price it went to. I have never looked at this project because anything that's got the word finance in there that I've never heard of or never covered is normally a smaller project. So I've not looked at that. That's down 59% over a week. That's clearly not a token that you should be looking at. Zcash is coming down a touch. Dash is coming down a touch. Not many losers, as you'd expect. As you'd expect. But we'll get into more of the whys and wheres in a minute. We're going to run through these X files because I have a feeling I'm going to lose my temper when we get to talk about influencers. And I think I've got every right to lose my temper about this because at the end of the day, the people that they are damaging is you. Now, this is a nice way to start that. This is one of my dogs, okay? My dog doesn't care about market dips, doesn't use leverage, and it has a happy and loves life. It's happy and it loves life. Be more dog, be less crypto. You look after yourself, you get one life. I'll go back to what I said at the start of the show. If you live in a town or a city that doesn't have anybody else in it that you can talk to crypto about, it can be very isolating. You can be on your own. Maybe your friends and family, nobody else is in crypto apart from you. And these types of streams that you watch and you connect with people, you come in here every day and you see the same names. Tariq, Kishan, KB, Manjeet, Danny. I could just keep going on. If I keep going on, I'm going to miss people. You get the point. Same people, okay? Maybe every single one of them lives in a place where they don't know anybody. And you have to recuse yourself. You have to take yourself out of crypto enough to appreciate the outside world. And if you're all in on crypto, then you need to find communities of people who'll be there for you when it hits the fan. And that can be through the various NFT projects that we cover on here. That can be through various Telegram groups or various Discord channels or spaces or whatever it might be. Find yourself a clan. Find yourself a group of people. Maybe they're all in your country. Maybe you're from somewhere in Eastern Europe and there's only 50 or 60 of you in Eastern Europe that are in that crypto that you like. Create a small community because that supports you through these hard times. Sadly, some people have not made it through the weekend, and that should never happen. Okay? Just look after yourselves. Sailor, I think, may have bought Don't Stop Believing. He started quoting lyrics, which I think is fascinating because I've been doing that for months, and I think Sailor has been stealing my ideas for his tweets, which is fine, but you just need to credit me, Michael. Sounds like a lot of buy and hold Vanguard investors were born on Friday. Welcome. It happens to the best of us. Don't worry, it'll be fine. You learn to love it. 8 to 10% a year, but it compounds well and the peace of mind is nice. Basically, this is saying you shouldn't really be using leverage if you don't know what you're doing. And I totally agree with that. I think a lot of people got burnt all over the weekend who will never come back. And that's it. Now, this is the play. This is the play that I posted on what date? Where's the date on this? 11:30 on Friday night. So about half an hour to an hour after it happened, I posted this. Trump imposes tariffs, wrecks the market. Z and Trump hate each other. Wednesday, Z and Trump are besties. Tariffs are halved, markets pumped. Stop being, and I'm not going to read the rest of it out, stop crying, hold your bags, okay? This happened in April, and we went over this on Saturday. We did a Saturday stream. Please watch it back. We did a Saturday stream that talked about this. And it can be very scary when everybody around you is telling you the world is on fire, and you've got one person telling you it isn't, okay? He came out on Sunday and said, don't worry, it's all good. We're all fine. We're going to sort it out. But he left the market from Friday night till Sunday afternoon to say that. Why? After a big liquidation event and markets decline like this one, you'll always see the same things on your feed. And, I could have said this in a tweet, but Dan has covered it really quite nicely. Who is going to buy into this market after seeing what's just happened? How can anyone trust this market anymore? And no one has money left to buy. Same things every time. Probably happened a dozen times already in crypto's history, yet the market has been up only over the past decade. So how does this happen when nobody wants to buy the market? Greed. Very true. Unlimited money. Very true. It was a large-scale flush to the likes this market has never seen before. It was 10 times as large as FTX and COVID. 10 times larger. And maybe, if those rumours are true, that it was actually a $400 billion flush, which I don't believe, then it's the biggest probably that we're ever going to see, at least for the next 4 years. Takes time for trust to be re-established, but nothing does that quicker than green candles. What you will see here over the coming weeks and months is you will see the reputation come back. Now, back in January, we covered the Melania, Trump, and Libra pump and dumps. And I said, what this has done is damaged the reputation of Solana. Damaged the reputation of Solana. You're going to get people, investors, talking to each other. What have you bought? I've got Bitcoin. What have you bought? I've got Ethereum. What have you got? Solana. Ha 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 ha. Okay? That's the reputational damage that those pump and dumps does. Okay? But we are now 9 months down the line. Solana has put in a, was it $300 plus price? It's now sitting at $200. It's going to get its ETF approval. Things pass. All those different, tragedies that happen in life, or, somebody slept with somebody's husband or whatever, and then the following year it's all forgotten about, and then they're starring and winning an Oscar. It just happens. It's life. People forget. It's human nature. So I don't expect that to last very long. I expect a series of news articles over the coming weeks when Bitcoin goes back to 120,000, ETH goes over $5,000, and I expect people to come out and say, we need to get in on this crypto thing. It's volatile. That's what they'll say. It's volatile, but look at the gains. And then that's it. We're back to normal. Now, one thing that I wanted to do an update on is this, and that is the Maple Finance situation. Maple Finance listed under the token Syrup over on Binance, and obviously listed everywhere else as well. They are the biggest asset under management company in the world. They've got $10 billion worth of loans issued. They've got a $4.5 billion asset under management portfolio. Their token is only, 400 or 500 million, so it's seriously undervalued. No liquidations, no depegging, and 3 margin calls met. Now, this is a stress test of companies like Maple Finance. It happened on Liberation Day, and it happened today. And in both instances, Maple Finance came out of this unscathed. So, the next time somebody asks me, Maple Finance though, what happens if there's a large liquidation event? I will just point them to October the 10th. And then I will point them to whenever it was, April the 2nd or whenever it happened, as 2 examples of what Maple does in situations like this. I didn't even think twice this time about Maple Finance and having problems, because it happened before. So this is good for the market. It's like, crash test dummies. You ram a car into a wall at 40 miles an hour and you see what survives. We've just rammed every project in crypto into the wall. And yes, the fallout is still going to continue for the next few weeks. The term that people are using, which I'm not really a big fan of, is we're going to start to see floating bodies in the next few days, which I think is a very crass term to use. And what they're saying is the crash happened on Friday and Saturday. We're probably not going to see the fallout of that until the middle to end of this week, where some companies are going to have simply disappeared. There are some companies I know. There's at least 2 that were longing Bitcoin, and they've been completely liquidated. funds, very small funds, a few $1 million. They've been liquidated. But, and again, I'm gonna resist the urge to go off on one about people that use leverage, because it's not fair, but I hope it's a lesson that you've now learnt. If you leverage your portfolio and you have $100,000, $95,000 or $98,000 of your portfolio should be in spot Bitcoin, spot Ethereum, XRP, Solana, in the major coins. If you want to go and play at the casino, you go and play with a small amount of money. And if you get liquidated a couple of times and your portfolio comes down to $90,000, you're going to think twice about it. I've seen $9 million losses, $2 million losses, $5 million losses. What are you doing with your portfolios? Are you insane? If you've got $5 million, you are pretty much set for life. You walk out of the casino, you cash your chips in, you walk out the casino, and every once in a while, if you want a bit of a gamble, you walk back in with a few quid. That's it. What are you doing? Going to keep my temper today. What's happening this week then? Columbus Day, holiday. Wow. Philadelphia Fed President speaks today. Tuesday, we have lots of Fed governors talking. Wednesday, we have lots more Fed governors talking. I think the interesting week is in 2 weeks' time. We are getting on Thursday PPI. That will be exciting. We've got everybody's talking. I mean, it's what they get paid for, I suppose. Friday, we've got the housing starts. That's an interesting one. Interesting one to show the state of the economy. Not interesting really in any other way, because a lot of indicators, a lot of these different things, they get coupled together. So it doesn't matter about housing starts, but what does matter is how many houses are being bought, how many are being built, what's the mortgage rate, stuff like that. When you couple them all together, you get an idea about the health of the housing market. The same way, if you go to a doctor, he's not just to take one measurement, is he? He's going to measure your height, your weight, your blood pressure, your eyesight, maybe your lung capacity. You know, the health check is more than one figure, and that's the way to look at a lot of things like this. Next week, we have absolutely nothing but CPI again. Now, this is the interesting week. Where has it gone? There is, maybe it doesn't go as far, but there is a interest rate decision later on. So that is pretty much the next week or two. I don't think we're going to see too much in the way of that. Right, liquidations. Where are we going with liquidations? How high are we now? I'm expecting to see short liquidations, maybe 600 or 700 million, 600 or 700 million worth of shorts being liquidated. That wasn't a bad guess, really, was it? 625 million in liquidations. Longs, very small. Shorts, 420 million. Again, calm after the storm, really, isn't it? We saw the highest number I've ever seen on this page. The highest number. It was incredible. Never seen anything like it. Good morning, Tariq. Good morning, Bullish Bull. And good morning, KB. I didn't see any of you pop into chat. I hope you're all well. So, calm before the storm. Sorry, calm after the storm. There's debris everywhere. I hope KB is tucking into his kilo of caviar this morning with his glass of champagne. And I hope you all survived and you're enjoying your gains, because I believe that many of you will have double-digit gains from what you bought on Friday and Saturday. I was scrambling around on Friday night trying to see across the various different exchanges what cash I had. And that was a lesson to me. And I scrambled around, and I bought a little bit more World Liberty Finance. And then I remembered on Sunday that I had a few $1,000s sitting in an LP, liquidity pool, which was USDC and USDT or something like that. I don't know what it was. It was like 5% or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking, I forgot about this. That's one of the problems with having too many tokens and too many things in different places. You forget that you've got money in places. And what I would have done with that is I would have just gone and bought Crow, Hype. What else would I have bought? Probably would have looked at something like Solana, something like that. That's what I would have gone to get. But I forgot about it, and I saw it yesterday and I thought I should have done that. I mean, lots of people lost a fortune over this weekend, but a lot of people made money as well, don't forget. Now, What have I been telling you for weeks about this? We can't break through, we can't break through, we can't break through, we can't break through. We've broken through. Now what do we need to do? We need to have a little support test. We've bounced and we're going to come up to here. 100 is my target for the DXY. It's not super important right now, but it's nice to see that finally we've broken the moving average. Bull market support band, I prefer to call it, but we've broken the moving average and we're now above it. And that's the first time we have been above it since when? Since February the 26th. Now, the interesting thing, which is this line here, this white line here, that is Trump's inauguration. Now, look what happened. If KB ever wants to point out the buy the rumour, sell the news scenario, it's this. Dollar getting stronger, day Trump comes in, absolute tanks. Because people were expecting him to weaken the dollar, and they were quite right to expect him to weaken the dollar. And up here, we were talking about wanting it to come down. So it did come down, and we're happy it came down. And now we came down, we kind of expect it to move back up, which is my big... I don't know why I've got a pink arrow, but we've got a pink arrow there. Let's enjoy... Not even pink, is it? What was that, mauve, maybe? That's what I think is going to happen. We're going to move up. And I think all of this is hanging on the China deal. And the China deal, as we said on Saturday, is it the 28th or 29th of October? We've got the China deal. It will get signed. Trump will not leave the table without a deal. Think about it. Now, I said, did I not, on Saturday again, that this move up was too excitable, too quick for it to really be of any case. Now, oh, the Oracle and his flaming black lines. How am I supposed to see that? In this instance, black lines don't matter, okay? Certainly not in this instance. Right, this is what Bitcoin dominance has done. Let's just very quickly try and give you a better idea. Right, so we got excited, didn't we? We got very excited up here. There's a lot of excitement. We came into the middle of the bull market support band, and what did we do? We got rejected, but where did we come back down to? We came back down to this trend line, which seems to be falling along the bottom. I've been saying for a while that I think this is bottoming like this and creating a kind of curve up, but I've also said I expect it to get rejected here, which it did, but it's all happened at the wrong time. I was expecting this to happen the middle to end of October, which is why this white line is here, and it's happened too soon. We've gone too soon. Do you remember when we had the alt season and all the alts started pumping, and I'm like, it's too soon. It doesn't happen now. It happens middle to end of October. October the 30th, 31st, we will go up. And we went up too soon. And what happened? We came back down again. You know, don't forget, the Oracle was talking about this on Saturday night. We were in a downtrend before any of this happened. And we showed you the Bitcoin chart to show you that, because we were saying here, every time we break, we come back down. And we broke, and we were coming back down. So what happened on Saturday and Friday was going to happen, maybe nowhere near the extent that it did. We were going to sidle down, because we didn't get rejected, but we got to 126,000, we came back down. And it's exactly what the Oracle said, and he called it. He called it, and he was right, and probably KB in chat was also right as well. And the Black Swan exacerbated what was going to happen. So what I mean by that is, rather than maybe coming down to 110, 112, 113,000, the cascading liquidations shot us all the way down to wherever we went to, 104, 107. But it was still the same move. It was just a bigger move than we expected. And when we look at the Bitcoin chart in a minute, you'll see. Now, this, again, is the total market cap, which we are now under 4 trillion. Okay, I don't expect us to be under 4 trillion for too much longer. If we just extend this line for a second, which I've got here, and again, I just draw lines. I just draw lines and things happen and the candles go to my lines. That's the way I like to look at it, okay? I am like Ray Wilkins was a little England footballer, and he got really old and bald, and he played for QPR, and he stood in midfield and the centre circle in the football pitch, and he's like 38 years of age, and people would just pass him the ball in the centre circle, and he'd ping one to a winger or ping one over the top for the striker, and he never moved more than 20 yards. That's me. I just sit there and draw lines, and things come to me, okay? The Oracle, he has charts, patterns, everything. He knows what he's talking about. I don't ever want to know what I'm talking about, because that's not my job. My job is to kind of give you a direction. If we know that we're going from Manchester to Glasgow, I'll know how far it is, and I'll know how long it'll take to get there. But the Oracle, he'll know every service station, how much petrol or diesel we need, he'll know how many snacks we need, he'll know every turn, every corner, he'll know everything. I just know we're going to Glasgow in a car with a load of snacks, and it's going to take us 6 hours to get there. Okay? Because that's not my job, that's his job, and he's very good at it. But this trend line, we have just popped back into. So maybe we get stuck like this and then go like that. Maybe we get rejected at 4 trillion. And everyone says, you know, why do we reinforce our own patterns? I mean, look at this. Okay? Maybe not this one. This was a bit too low. But we get rejected of 4 trillion. Where is that 4 trillion? It's just an arbitrary number. But it isn't, because those arbitrary numbers are everywhere, because it's a pattern. And as we made a video and we did a live stream about this probably 2 years ago, we went through Fibonacci together and how nature is based on patterns. Humans are part of nature, therefore we are all part of the same patterns. That's why things seem to be prescripted. Things seem to happen in life that just don't seem to be a coincidence, but it's patterns. And we're getting back into this lovely pattern, and we're going to go back over $4 trillion. It's just the way it works. Now, one thing we've not looked at for a while, which we're going to look at very quickly, I'm trying to get through this as fast as possible, but trying to pull out as much salient information as possible, and that is not easy to do when you've got an hour. The bear is in chat. Just a coffee. You know what? I've got a coffee this morning. I feel like one of those people that advertises HelloFresh. I don't need HelloFresh. I have Binance coffee, okay? Binance coffee is the best coffee in the world. Nobody makes a better cup of coffee in a mug than the Binance mug. That's what I will say. Phil and Bear's just laughing at the fact that I forgot I had cash. I could do with another angry orange man crashing the market. The tornado came earlier this season. You know what? The bear is always... You know what? If I had a room that had Peter Schiff and Villain Bear in it, and I had a choice of saving one from, I don't know, throwing him out of an aeroplane, I don't know whether I'd save Peter Schiff or whether I'd save Villain Bear. Right, this is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. And this is basically how many Ethereum can you get. How much Bitcoin can you get per Ethereum? That's the way to read it. And we've looked at this a long, long time ago. And again, as I haven't looked at this chart in weeks, and you'll know that because you can go back over my streams. From August 2022 until today, 3 years. August 2022, exactly 3 years. Look what we did. We lost against Bitcoin. Okay, if you want to see the worst performance of anything since Liverpool in the European Cup final, that is that. Champions League final. And then, when all hope is lost, Ethereum comes back to 004. And what happens? It got rejected. And this was August this year. And what have we done? We can't break this trend line. So we've come back down and we've tested the bull market support band and bounced. So what do you think's going to do next? I think this. Look at how nice that really is. Now, we've had a little bit of a down, but I'm expecting that. I'm expecting Ethereum to break this downward trend that we have been in for 3 years. Okay? 3 years. That's longer than Villain Bear's Bitcoin short. 3 years. Okay? I think his Bitcoin short is 2.5 years. 3 years. 3 years of downward action. and we've come back up to that same trend line, been rejected, and we're stuck because we have a trend line and the bull market support band. What we don't want to see, ladies and gentlemen, is we don't want to see this do this. Because if you want your alt season, why can't I? If you want your alt season, that's the worst thing. If we see this, if we see Ethereum go down to 0.3003, whatever, it means Bitcoin dominance is going to go up, which means Bitcoin's going to go up, which means your alts won't pump. So we want to see this line. So you should will this line. The same way that you suck the ball into the back of your net when your team's got a penalty, you want that to break up and you want it to go here. That's what you want. Okay, but we've looked at it now, and it's nice that I haven't looked at that for a while. I can't keep doing the same charts. Now we've got the Bitcoin chart, which we're going to look at now. It's actually the first topic of the day. Did I update the topics, by the way, on the stream? Yes, I did. Fantastic. Timing in crypto is important, says Kishan. Pump or dump, I need my profit. Exactly. You can profit from everything in the market. That's the best way to look at it. And like I said before, you've got your mental health to look after. You're going to do nothing if you're tired and burnt out. You have to have breaks and sleep and recovery. And in the summer, that's why we don't stream as much. That's why we don't make as many videos in the summer. Simply because I don't get any sleep. I get no sleep in the summer, so my output drops. But it doesn't drop because I'm on death's bed. It drops because I'm trying to keep enough energy to do what I need to do. Because believe it or not, there is more to doing this kind of stuff than me just sitting here talking for an hour. This is like the last 100 meters of a 5,000 meter race. There's a lot that goes in. Now, I know the price is wrong. I could look at a different Bitcoin chart, but I'm not going to today. I'm look at this one. Move that over there a bit. So, the direction of Bitcoin. I posed a couple of questions on Twitter today. Number one, is the bull run over? No, it's not. Okay. Number two, we're going to get to influencers in a minute. We have not broken out of my range that I've drawn, my Tony Hart range. Okay, we're still in it. So where is all the sadness and tears? Where are all the tears coming from? Okay, if you watch a 10-year-old chart on the 5-minute chart, sorry, if you watch a 10-year-old token such as Bitcoin and you watch it on the 5-minute chart, you're going to go to an early grave. Okay, you hear the expression zoom out, don't you? Well, if you do this, I mean, how much more of a pump do you want from Bitcoin? We've gone from, let's say, $18,000. 6x, is that? Whatever. No, more than that. Whatever, 6 or 7x we've done on Bitcoin, the number one asset. So you put $10,000 into Bitcoin 3 years ago, you got $60,000. What more do you want? What more do you want? Do you want to be like James Wynn, where you win it all and you lose it all? Or do you want to make steady profits? You make money in crypto by being bored to death. Boring. Do you know how boring it is watching your Bitcoin pot grow for 7, 8, 9 years, 8 or 9 years, however long I've had Bitcoin? Do you know how boring it is? It's incredibly boring, but also incredibly rewarding. If I said you had to sit and stare at a wall for an hour and I'll give you $100, would you stare at that wall? Yes. Okay. If you sit and stare at the Bitcoin chart on the weekly chart and you watch it for the next 5 years, like just staring randomly at this chart, it's going to go up. Bitcoin goes up over time. If you have held Bitcoin for more than 3 or 4 years, whatever the number is, you're always in profit. So if you know that fact and you're buying Bitcoin every week, you're going over a long period of time to be very, very wealthy. And it doesn't matter if it's $10 a week or $20 a week or whatever you can afford. You buy that amount of Bitcoin every week for the next 5 or 10 years and you're going to be very wealthy. But it's boring. However, if we went to the 5-minute chart and we tried to even get anything out of a 5-minute chart, you'd be like, oh my lord, Bitcoin it's crashing. It's absolutely crashing. Oh my god, look at how much it was at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon and look how much it is now. No, you don't look at that. That's why I never bring it up. You look at the daily or you look at the weekly and you see that we are in an uptrend. It's not going to go on forever and we are going to come down. Where we come down to, anybody's guess. Anybody that tells you where we're going to go to and where we're going to come down to doesn't actually know. They're guessing. The same way I think we'll be at 136,000 and then I think we'll be about 150, 160,000. And then you'll see my red line here. And this is talking about whether we get an extended run or not and whether we come down towards the summer next year and just carry on. Maybe we do, but we will come down. Okay, so the bull run is not over. The bull run is at the end. Now, if I'm wrong, we will know in November. It's already the middle of October. We've got maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks left. We might not even have that. This next pump could be the end. Let's say we get to 136 to 140,000 and everything's going parabolic. That could be the end. So you need to decide where your portfolio sits today and what price target you want to sell your tokens at. So let's say you've got XRP. It's $2.60. Let's say it goes to $5. Are you selling? Is your objective to get out of crypto this cycle? Are you holding to the end of this cycle and getting out or cashing to stables? Because if you are and you don't have a rough idea of where you want to sell those tokens and a sensible idea, then what happens when it gets to that price? When XRP gets anywhere near $5, I am going to start selling it. If Chainlink, which I'm hoping, gets to $80, $60, $70, $80, $85, I am going to be selling it. You can't sit here and then just wait for a massive wick. What we just saw to the downside can happen to the upside in a blow-off top, and it will last not very long. The run-up does, but it doesn't last very long. About 25 days from where we are now to the top. That's it. And then we're going to have the blow-off top, and then we're going to retrace. Because the value of Bitcoin gets overpriced, it has to come back down. And that happens to Ethereum. If Ethereum goes to $7,000, $8,000, and you don't think about selling it because you want to hold for the next 10 years, fine. But if you're holding to the end of this bull run and you're not taking profits, you need to really think about what you're doing, okay? And also, I did a check on this actually. I wanted to see how many times in the last 6 months I have tweeted, remember to take profits. And believe it or not, it's once a month. Since April the 13th, I've said take profits once a month. I don't know whether I should type it more. I don't know whether I should type it every week, but then you kind of get repetitive. But once a month for the last 6 months, I've been saying take profits, okay? And I don't mean sell all. I don't mean sell half. I mean 10%, 5% here. Put some money on the side. You're never going to get, if we hit $150,000 on Bitcoin, you are never going to get an average sell on your Bitcoin of $150,000 because you're not going to catch it. So mentally prepare yourself for getting an average of 135,000, for example. You're never going to get 8,000 on Ethereum. You might get an average of 7 or 6.5. So don't think the very last cent of Bitcoin's pump you will catch. You're never going to do it. The same way that I didn't catch Atom at 1 cent. I didn't catch Crow at 6 cents. I didn't catch any of those coins because it happened so quickly. I don't regret the fact I didn't buy Crow at 6 cents because you're never going to catch that unless you've put in a crazy order. And there are people out there that have done that and made money. There are people who have orders on Bitcoin. I'm sure if we did it one day, there are people that have got orders on Bitcoin at $1. And you'll think, oh, that's ridiculous. It'll never go to $1. Nobody thought Atom was going to go to 1 cent, but it did. So just remember, you're never going to catch the top. Ever. And if you do, you are lucky. And you can live off that glory for the next 4 years like Hart did. Richard Hart has done that. But just remember, look at an average get-out price. So $5 for XRP, for example, or $2.50, $3 for ADA. Try and get an average price that you think in your head is how you should get out of the market. Not me. And I could very well be wrong. We might run to March, April, June. We might never come down. And your dollar cost averaging out of a market that's just going up. And then you'll blame me. And I'm sitting there with this massive bag of cash. I've got bags of cash under my arms. I can't walk. I look like Popeye. I've got big bags of cash. And I'm like, I don't care. I sold and made an absolute killing. And if you've bought XRP at $1 and you've sold it at $5 and it goes to $7 or $8, you've still 5x'd your money. If you want a min-maxer, I am not the guy for you. I am going to sit here and tell you to go after a really big return. And what it goes to after that is irrelevant. If you sold your house 20 years ago in London and moved to the countryside and you wake up to the sound of cows every morning and the house you sold for £500,000 has bought you this lovely cottage, but your house in London is now 4 million quid, are you going to be upset? Or are you going to be happy because your standard of living has gone up 20-fold? Because not everything is about money. What you do with that money is what's important, because the most scarce resource you have in your life is time, not money, time. And it's easy to say that's somebody that doesn't have any money. I get that. But if you can buy as much of your time as possible with what we're doing on this channel, that's the most important thing. And if we don't time the top, we won't care and we won't bat an eyelid about that. Okay? Remember our motto. We are not here to make you rich. We are here to try and stop you from becoming poor. Don't leverage. Buy Bitcoin. Put it on a ledger if you know what you're doing. Stack your sats. Dollar cost average in. Take profits. It's conservative, but it's reasonable. Peter Schiff piles on. Calls Bitcoin to go to $75,000, ETH at $1,500. There is a universe. There is a universe where we hit those price targets in the bear market. There is, absolutely. If there is a massive sea change, that can happen. And I actually think, of the two, I think 75,000 traditionally will be the bottom of the next bear market. But I think Ethereum could go lower than $1,500 in a bear market. I do. But it would have to be a brutal bear market. So I'm not going to disagree with what he's saying, but what I do disagree with is you having the thought in your head that we're going to go to $75,000 next week, or we're going to go to ETH at $1,500. And let me point one thing out to you. Peter Schiff was calling Bitcoin a scam at $10,000. So if we did go to $75,000, it would be 7.5 times higher than when he called it a scam. It's been going up and to the right for a very long period of time. People will call it a bubble. I don't think Apple was a bubble. I don't think Amazon was a bubble, but they've gone up and to the right. I don't think Tesla is a bubble, and that's gone up and to the right. It's easy to call something that is on a rise because it's a new industry or a new market or whatever it might be. It's easy to call it a bubble because it's going up and to the right. People were calling the internet a bubble. When I started 5,000 years ago, the internet was a bubble. I was told by everybody, this is what they said to me, you'll never make any money out of the internet. And then I proceeded to go and run my own internet business for 20 years. Maybe longer, actually. Maybe longer. Anyway, doesn't really matter. The point of the matter is, you're always going to get him. He should walk around the centre of his town with a placard on that says the end is nigh, because he's going to be right at one point. And when he does, he comes out and proclaims victory. But he's been calling it a scam for when the price was 90% lower than it is now. If you listen to the people like that, you're going to get nowhere in life. The same way, if you listen to Rich Dad Poor Dad, you'll get nowhere in life, because both are unrealistic. That Tom Lee, he is on, I can't say, he's not right in the head. We are not going to see a $60,000 Ethereum. Get that out of your head. But we're not going to see a $1,500 Ethereum in the next week or two either. Both of them are equally wrong. The chances of Schiff being right, however, are higher than Tom Lee in this instance, but still a remote chance of it happening. Now, this was a big story that I have been arguing with people about for a very long time. And I have been arguing myself on X about this morning. That chart makes me sick, says the bear. Just make it reach these prices and I will be gone in 60 seconds. Exactly, Tariq. Exactly. I think the thing is, you switch from fear to greed. That's why it's called the Fear and Greed Index. You switch from fear to greed. And the way I think of it is every time I think about The Lord of the Rings, or is it The Hobbit, there's a scene where he's got the ring and he goes to give it to not Ian McKellen, the other guy, you know, the old one, Bilbo Baggins, whatever he was called, and he goes to give it him and his face changes because he wants the ring. And that greed is in everybody. We all want a $500,000 Bitcoin. We all want a $1 million Bitcoin. We all want a $50,000 ETH. And if I sit here and give you these absolutely ridiculous targets, you're just going to all lap it up. We're going to go to $10,000 on ETH this month, and we're going to hit $25 next month. You're going to sit there and go, I'm going to be so rich. And then when it doesn't happen, you're going to come knocking on my door and say, you said $25,000. And I'll say, yeah, well, Donald Trump, he broke Donald Trump. I'm just going to keep saying Donald Trump. What good would that be? It wouldn't make any good. Wouldn't be any good, would it? You know what I mean? If you go to various different nightclubs and you meet certain types of people, they're going to tell you that the sun shines out of your backside because they want you to spend more. That's all they want you to do. They want you to buy their bags. Now, hype, and this is what annoys me about what's been going on, and I'm going to keep this short because we've only got 10 or 15 minutes, and I don't want to overrun, but hype lost 10 of the 20 billion. Hype didn't go down. Hype is decentralized. Nobody's going after hype. Nobody's going after another exchange, which I can't mention the name of, and everybody's going after Binance. Binance was a 10th of the liquidations. Now, there are loads of these rumors that it's actually 400 billion or 200 billion, whatever it might be. Until we see the facts, we have to go with what facts we have, and that is that there was 20 billion in liquidations, and Binance was responsible for 2.3 of them. But then the question is, yeah, but they're liable for all. No, they're not liable for anything. They're not liable for anything. If they made a mistake, which they've done, they've paid the money back and they've refunded all of their clients. If you've sat there and 500x longed Bitcoin with your entire net worth and it all goes, that money does not go to Binance. It's PvP. So, yes, they get their fees, and yes, they take percentages along the way. But Hyperliquid cost half of that, and nobody's batting an eyelid at them. But everybody's blaming Binance. And I'm not going to get into the whys and wherefores because we don't have enough time, and I want to go and talk about something else in a minute, which is going to get me irate. But if you don't want to ever feel the way you felt this weekend, you do not use leverage. Leverage is for experienced people, and I can tell you right now, everybody got wiped out. Okay, I know some people caught the shorts, fantastic. I know that. But on the whole, some people have lost generational wealth because of leverage. You don't want leverage. Leverage should not be in your vocabulary. And if you do, and I'll give you some of what I do. I don't really like leverage that much, but I will go and you can get these tokens, which are called 3x and 5x tokens. So let's say you think Bitcoin's going to go up. You go and buy a 5x token. And then if Bitcoin goes up, you get a multiple of the Bitcoin move up. And if it goes down, you get a multiple of the loss. But you never get liquidated on those tokens. Or I don't think any of those tokens got liquidated this weekend either. But the point of the matter is, you can have a little bit of a play with leverage, but I wouldn't go near, you don't want cross. You don't want to lose your entire portfolio. And it's just gambling. At the end of the day, you're betting if it's going up or if it's going to go down. If you just hold the asset, it will naturally go up or down. And it's boring, but boring wins. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 people. I'm going to talk about Ben Cowan. I'm going to talk about Alex Becker, and I'm going to talk about somebody else. Ben Cowan, I think it's interesting that you spent several minutes of your last stream talking rubbish about me and say I should show more compassion, yet every time Soul dumps, you celebrate and tell people to convert to ADA. Do you only demand compassion when ADA dumps? This was in response to Jason, Crypto Crow, who was talking about BNB. BNB was barely affected at all. Then Ben Cowan got involved. Jason went back and forth with him. That's one of the conversations that's been going on all weekend. Then we have the second conversation, and these are just examples. I'm not talking about your favourite influencer. Okay, Ran, he came out with a bit more of a conspiracy theory. His approach was the sell-off happened moments after the US market closed. Well, that's because he tweeted moments after the market closed. The oracles mysteriously all misfired prices. The market makers' systems glitched. The large exchanges held users' access, limited it. The data all went down. Highly coordinated, well-executed attack. That is your conspiracy theory. And then Becker came out and said something entirely different. And he said, I'm down 15 million from recent highs and still bullish. This is the game. This is why many can't do it. Few could ever hope to be this retarded. They will call us lucky soon. We will laugh and tell them to deliver our Uber Eats. Now, the reason I'm bringing them up is that, very simply put, I talked about a social contract on, I might even have been Friday. I think I talked about social contracts on Friday. And a social contract, it's unwritten because it's social, and it's between the person providing the content and the person consuming the content. And that content can be tweets on X, it can be videos on YouTube, it can be live streams, it can be anything, okay? And the contract is this. You like watching this person. This person streams stuff you like to listen to. That's the contract. You consume it, I make it. So if I make content that you don't watch, you've broken the social contract. If I make content that you don't like and I go off on a tangent and start talking about UFOs coming out of the sea, I've broken the social contract. And the issue here is that you have these influencers that crack. And that's the best way to put it. They crack. Now, was Ben Cowan right about the correction to the downside? Yes. Did he know there was going to be a black swan? No. But he called the move to the downside. He called the move to the bull market support band. He said Bitcoin, Ethereum would get rejected, come to the bull market support band. He got that right. Jason Crow spends every opportunity that he's got talking about ADA because he's an ADA maxi. And part of that is that he talks badly about Solana. Alex Becker likes to call people retarded, which isn't a nice word, let's be fair. All three of those individuals have some information that is beneficial to you. But arguing with each other and trying to belittle each other and calling each other out, they might as well go back to secondary school, put a pair of shorts on and start hitting each other with sticks. Okay? There's no place for this. It's not needed. They are the people that you have a social contract with. Jason or Ben or CZ even was talking about stuff as well. You've got a social contract with them. It's their responsibility to take you through this period of time. And each of them does a very good job at what they do. But we don't need this kind of stuff. And especially the kind of stuff that's been thrown around. It's he says, she says, BS. It's not needed, okay? Stick to talking about facts. Stick to talking about what you specialize in. Just because you don't like Ben's tone, okay? Don't start playing the moral high ground. Don't start virtue signaling. Oh, it's not very nice you said this about this. When did you become a snowflake? When did you become a snowflake? Because you've not been a snowflake when you've been absolutely crucifying somebody else for the last 2 years, but when it affects you, you then take the moral high ground. None of it is consistent, none of it is needed, and it should all go in the bin. And I'm sick of listening to people, especially when we crash, because when we pump, they're all geniuses. They've all made you money. They'll post their profit and losses. They'll post their pictures of how much money they've made on Binance and everywhere else. And they'll be out there, look at me, look how good I am. But then when things go south and maybe their narrative has been derailed, they then just randomly start picking on other people to deflect from how they got it wrong. Nobody saw the black swan coming. But some people were more right than others because some people are more conservative. So I am not saying you shouldn't watch any of those people. They're all... Alex Becker is great. Jason is great. Ben is great at what he does. There's loads of other good people out there. Ran and some of his team members, they're good at what they do. But you can't take any of them as a false idol. You should watch a multiple of them. I follow people who I do not disagree with on loads of things, mainly political things. I don't agree with them, but I follow them and I watch their videos because I want their side of I want their angle, you know? And that's what I think you all need to do. You just need to take a leaf out of your book and say, I am going... No, you're going to take a leaf out of your book. You're going to take a leaf out of my book and just watch people you disagree with. Not the hype train people who tell you we're all going to Nirvana, but people who believe Bitcoin's going down, people who believe Bitcoin's going up, and then decide in your head whether you think you agree with it or not. Anyway, KB watches them for comedic entertainment. Futures finished them for good. Yep. So many people are finished after the Saturday crash. They are gone. Game over for them in crypto. Yep. Absolutely. And the problem is, and I can't get my head around this, I've got a pot of gold. And that pot of gold will secure my family's future. And then I decide to go to the casino and put my pot of gold on red. And I lose. It's my fault I lost that pot of gold. It's my fault I over-leveraged. It's my fault for not taking any level of risk management. So all of those people that have lost 5, 2.5 million, 10 million, I've got no sympathy for them. None at all. Okay? If you've lost everything you've got in crypto because of what's just happened, I'm afraid to say it's all on you. You can't blame anybody else but yourself. You should not play with money you cannot afford to lose, and you shouldn't gamble. If you're trying to build your family's future, if you got a job that paid you $2,000 a month and your outgoings were $1,200 a month, you take $500 and you put it in a savings account, wouldn't you? To maybe buy a house, right? Bigger house, whatever it might be, or a holiday. And then you put that $500 away every month. 6 months down the line, would you take all of that money and go to the casino and gamble it away? Of course you wouldn't. That would be ridiculous. So why do you think it's okay to take your $5,000 that you've saved up a year for and do a 25x long on Bitcoin? Oh, it's a safe bet. Nothing in crypto is a safe bet. If you want a safe bet, you go and buy shares on the stock market in a boring fund that does 4, 5, 6% a year. That's boring. Not Bitcoin. Bitcoin has just shown you your backside. And he's shown everybody its backside. And it's shown everybody that it's still the top dog. And I don't care if you blame X or Y or Z. The responsibility falls on you. And if you've grown up without anybody telling you to accept responsibility for stuff that you've done, then I'm telling you now, if you got wrecked, this is a very valuable lesson to learn. And if many of you are young enough to understand this, you've now been hit with maybe a life-changing or current life-changing crash. I remember 2008. I lost £500,000 in asset value in one day. What's that? $750,000 in a day. And what did I do? I didn't do anything. I sat on my hands. And eventually it slowly came back. But it was horrific. Nobody went onto Twitter, if it existed at the time, and said, I want my money back. I shouldn't have gambled. It was terrible. Everything crashed. Stock market has crashed. Bitcoin, Ethereum, all crashed. Nobody to blame but yourself. The sooner you understand that you need to take responsibility for your actions, the better your life will be. And maybe stack sats, stack Ethereum maybe as well. Stack Bitcoin. Keep it. Put it away. Don't spend it. Don't gamble it. Don't use it as collateral. Just hold the Bitcoin and wait. That's all you had to do. If you bought Bitcoin the day we went live on Binance, it was $15,000 or $20,000. Buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. That's all we've been saying for 2.5 years. And now here we are. We are 6x higher, 5x higher than where we were. So you've done 500% return in 2.5 years. Maybe more if you've got Ethereum as well. Maybe more if you bought the XRP that we were talking about in Solana. What are you doing? Leveraging yourself. How fast do you want to get rich? Because get rich quick schemes only make the person selling those schemes richer, like Andrew Tate. Everybody else gets wrecked. And then you run in circles and you don't know why you've not made any money and you get more depressed. It's a terrible position to be in. Anyway, we can't do the rest of the stuff. It is called greed. You're absolutely right. It is called greed. And greed will wreck you. Now, we've got a couple of other articles that we're going to cover tomorrow. We've got the buybacks, which we want to talk about, and then the Black Swan, which is coming up. And the Black Swan is not going to come up today or tomorrow, so don't panic. This is a Black Swan, which has been years in the making. And it's not technically crypto related, but of course it is crypto related because it will tank the markets. And it might happen next year, it might not happen for 3 or 4 years. But I want to tell you about it because I think it's important. Anyway, we have talked forever. It's 12:06. I don't want to keep any longer. The Oracle is back tomorrow night. Wednesday, we have Wolfies. As I said, we've got a prize pool. We're going to give some of that money away on Binance Square if you drop your user ID. And we're going to give some of that money away somewhere else. So I'm excited for Wolfies. I'm going to go and write the questions now. We're going to do 25 questions. I think 20 questions is too short. And I think 30 questions is too long. So we're going to run with 25 questions. And these are going to be difficult. And maybe a lot of guesswork is involved. But if I was you, and I'm going to let you in on a secret, I would go and have a look at how the makeup of Wolfies are. Go and have a look at the volumes, the traits. Go and have a look at all of that stuff to do with NFTs. And we will ask questions about that. Now, I like doing NFT projects. We haven't done one in forever. We've not done one in probably over a year. Maybe not even that, maybe a year and a half. And because I don't like NFTs, that's honest fact. But this one is different, which is cliche, but it genuinely is different because there is a treasury behind it, which builds up in time to be worth more or the same, I can't remember which, as the value of that NFT. So it will always have an inherent value because you can burn it and unlock the tokens. So I'm really looking forward to talking about that. Looking forward to talking to you again tomorrow. This has flown. Thank you all for tuning in. Can you let me know in chat very quickly before we go? Is the volume any higher on my voice today than it was on Saturday and Friday? Am I louder today than I was? If any one of you in chat can tell me if it's the same, if it's lower, if it's higher. I have tried to boost my audio because some people tell me I'm quiet. So if you can just comment in chat to say, okay, higher or lower, that would be great. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you all in the morrow. Take care.